Joining.
Just a minute.
We'd also like to welcome our live listeners also. Hare Krishna. And we'll start today's session 6, chapter 9. Just one chapter today. Om
Om Namo
Namo Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Ajnanatimirandhasya
Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana
Jnananjanashalakaya
Shalakaya
Chakshurunmilitam
Chakshurun
Yena
Militam
Tasmai
Tasmai
Shri
Shri
Gurave
Gurave
Namaha.
Namaha. Namo
Nama Om
Om
Vishnu
Vishnu Padaya
Padaya
Krishna
Krishna Prishtaya
Prishtaya
Bhutale
Bhutale
Srimate
Srimate
Anatha
Anatha
Swami
Swami
Niti
Niti Namine.
Namine.
Nama
Nama
Om
Om
Vishnu
Vishnu
Padaya
Padaya
Krishna
Krishna Prishtaya
Prishtaya
Bhutale
Bhutale
Srimate
Srimate
Jayapataka
Jayapataka
Swami
Swami
Niti
Niti
Namine.
Namine. Namo
Namacharya
Acharya
Padaya
Padaya
Nitai
Nitai
Kripa
Kripa
Pradaine
Pradaine
Gaurakatha
Gaurakatha
Dhamadaya
Dhamadaya
Nagara Grama
Nagaragramatarine.
Tarine. Nama
Nama
Om
Om
Vishnu
Vishnu Padaya
Padaya Krishna
Krishna Prishtaya
Prishtaya Bhutale
Bhutale
Srimate
Srimate
Bhakti
Bhakti
Vedanta
Vedanta
Swami
Swami
Niti
Niti
Namine.
Namine. Namaste
Namaste Saraswati
Saraswati Deve
Deve Gauravani
Gauravani
Pracharine
Pracharine
Nirvishesha
Nirvishesha
Shunyavadi
Shunyavadi
Paschatya
Paschatya Deshatarine.
Deshatarine. Jaya
Jaya
Shri
Shri
Krishna
Krishna Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Prabhu
Prabhu Nityananda
Nityananda
Shri
Shri
Advaita
Advaita
Gadadhara
Gadadhara
Shrivasadi
Shrivasadi
Gaura
Gaura
Bhakta
Bhakta
Vrinda.
Vrinda. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama
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 Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare. Hare Krishna again, welcoming all of our YouTube live listeners, our Facebook live listeners, and our listeners over Zoom. We welcome all of you to this day 6 of Sri Gita Rahasya. Before we continue today, we'd like to congratulate all the participants of our quiz session from yesterday. From YouTube, we'd like to congratulate Lakshmi Priya Mataji, Sharmila S. Bhakta Mataji, Ishwari Radha Mataji, Sri Lekha, Kaveri Sham Mataji, Hari Krishna Maddali Prabhu, and Shama Priya Mataji. Congratulations to all of you. And from Facebook, we'd like to congratulate Meena Mataji, Ranjani Gopika Mataji, and Flavier. Thank you so much for participating by sending in your quiz sessions to us personally. So thank you so much to all of you, and congratulations to all.
All right, so we will start today chapter 9, chapter entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge. This is, we are exactly in the middle of the Bhagavad Gita, ninth chapter, 18 total chapters. We're in the ninth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So, what's the connection between chapter 8 and chapter 9, the last chapter yesterday that we spoke? We discussed how Krishna has explained about Ananya Bhakta, meaning the unalloyed devotee. He surpasses all the paths of light and darkness. And now Krishna will explain how to become that devotee. So here you see slowly, Krishna is revealing about being a devotee. Everywhere in the previous chapters, he explains what is the qualities of a devotee. And then slowly he's explaining how to become a devotee. This goes back to the question Arjuna asked in chapter 2. Sthita pragyasya ka bhasha. How does he speak? How does a Sthita Pragya speak? How does he walk? How does he sit? How does he talk? And here he's explaining how to become such a Sthita Pragya, how to become such a devotee. Chapter 8, the conclusion says Bhakti is the best form of yoga. And chapter 9 tells the specific knowledge that's required for performing this most confidential yoga. In one sense, chapter 7 and chapter 9 are virtually identical. Chapter 8 is kind of a tangent in the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, and but it's still relevant in the sense that it is clearing up some important points before we continue on to the higher uh, issues in the same line. Okay, so can we have the slide, please? We'll look at the first slide, the breakdown of the chapter. Okay, the first section is this is for chapter 9 we need. Okay, next slide. Okay, section, this is chapter 9 is in 4 sections. Section 1 talks about hearing, which is the qualifications and disqualifications of hearing. And it says how the non-envious people and those who are faithful, they will attain Krishna by hearing the most confidential knowledge about him. And faithlessness forces one to return to the path of birth and death in this particular material world. So this is section 1. Section 2 talks about, from verse 4 to verse 10, talks about Aishwarya Gyan. That is, what is the relationship of Krishna with this material world? Krishna, he pervades everything. He creates and highlights all the cosmos through his material energy. He is the supreme director, and yet he is the material world moves independently, and Krishna remains neutral and detached. Krishna is the one who created this machine, but he creates the machine works on itself, and Krishna is detached in that sense. So Krishna is in, but not inside as well. Then section 3, from verse 11 to verse 25, talk about how the fools, they neglect bhakti, but those who are divine, they don't neglect bhakti. He talks about Duratmas and Mahatmas. Duratmas are those who think Krishna's form is ordinary, and Mahatmas are those who understand that Krishna has a transcendental form. They take shelter of him and they worship him. Then there are some indirect worshippers who take shelter of some conception of the Supreme and then they worship it. They're ultimately worshiping Krishna, but they worship him indirectly. So, who are these indirect worshippers? There are Duratmas who are one end of the spectrum, there are Mahatmas who are the other end of the spectrum, and somewhere in between is the indirect worshippers, which are 3 types. One is Ekatvena, which means the monist, who thinks I am God. Yeah, but he is ultimately in that conception also worshipping Krishna. Vishvato Mukham, it's explained in verse 16 to 19 that Vishvato Mukham is a worshipper of the universal form, which is material. And then Prithakvena, who is a worshipper of the Devatas, the demigod worshipper, he's higher than the Ekatvena, is Prithakvena.
Then there's the last section of this chapter, dealing from text 26 through 34, which talks about the glories of devotional service to Krishna. Basically talks about pure devotional service, that how when one worships Krishna with devotion or even offers him the fruit of his work, one becomes free from reaction and returns back to Krishna. And worship is simple. The worship is, to Krishna. Krishna explains it. It's very simple worship. No complications at all. So we'll understand all of that, that how the worship to Krishna is so simple, but the result is super excellent. Then Krishna shows favoritism to his devotees. That Krishna says that I'm equal to everyone, but I favor my devotees. Krishna says that. So he considers a devotee to be very saintly, even if he's committed a horrible act. That is how dear the devotees are to Krishna. And he quickly purifies that devotee of that, that horrible sinful activity. He purifies the devotee. Here we will understand, during this section, we will understand especially what is the difference between sin and offense, or papa and aparadha. So we'll understand the difference between the two. Then there is devotional service. Krishna talks about that devotional service, which is supremely purificatory. It purifies everyone simply by thinking of Krishna, offering him obeisances, and becoming absorbed in Krishna. One can return back home, back to Godhead. So, regardless of their position, this is the mercy of Krishna. So, these are the 4 sections that we will discuss in this particular chapter. We can end the slideshow here. Thank you. Now we'll discuss why this chapter 9 is called the most confidential knowledge.
So there are different reasons. In chapter 2 and 3, Krishna explains how this knowledge is confidential. Then in chapter 7 and 8, he gives more confidential knowledge. And now in chapter 9, he's giving the most confidential knowledge. Because someone may say, hey, most confidential knowledge, when did we hear the more and the confidential one? In chapter 2 and 3, he gave the confidential knowledge of what? Of the soul, of the knowledge of the spirit soul. That's very confidential. In fact, we are spirit soul, but we are so much an illusion. We cannot realize that I am the soul, I am not this body, unless a realized soul explains it to us, makes us aware by our own. It's very, very rare that someone on their own just understands I'm the soul, I'm not this body. Even though we are. We identify ourselves with the body so much. Then, chapter 7 and 8, he gives the more confidential knowledge, which brings about the enlightenment about Krishna consciousness, about the Supreme Lord and his energies. And now in chapter 9, it is most confidential. Why is it most confidential? Because it deals with pure, unalloyed devotion. This particular chapter deals with pure devotion, and it delineates the glories of the Lord. So, what are the characteristics of pure devotee? And how to become a pure devotee is what is explained in this particular chapter.
So, in this chapter, we have 15 important verses. So, we will request for the slideshow of the next slide, please, the PowerPoint. So, this is the second verse of this chapter, 9.2. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartumavyayam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed.
So, this has many, many parts to it. If you see Rajavidya, which means it's the king of all knowledge. Knowledge is to understand. There are so many knowledges. There is knowledge you get by asking questions and answers. And from childhood, we have been, human beings keep asking questions. A small boy will ask, my dear mother, what is this? My father, dear father, what is this? And we'll say something, this is a pen. Oh, why this pen is small? Oh, this is, well, there are different pens. Oh, why there are different kinds of pens? And they'll just keep going on and on. Why, what, when, where. And then as we grow up, we have to give exams. Those are questions and answers. We keep, human life means to be curious, to get education, to get the king of all education. Education, the word education comes from root word educare. Educare means to bring out from within, which is already there. So knowledge is not about information that we come in, it's about transformation of the heart. That's what true knowledge, that's what true education is. And this Bhagavad Gita is actually making us realize what we already know but have forgotten. That's why it is Rajavidya, it is the king of all knowledge, king of all education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the greatest secret, Bhagavad Gita. Raj Guhyam. How is it a secret? People will say, hey, we get Bhagavad Gita on the streets, devotees distribute Bhagavad Gita, everyone knows about Bhagavad Gita. How can you say it's a secret? It's an open book secret. It's an open secret. It's such a secret that even though someone tells you, we will not realize it unless we hear it from the mouth of a pure devotee, unless it's revealed to us from within by service. Even if someone tells us, we won't realize it because we have to actually put it into practice and then it is revealed from within. That's why it is the greatest secret. It's there in front of you. Someone tells you the secret, still we don't understand. That's why it is the greatest secret. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Uttamam, purest knowledge. Why is it purest knowledge? Because Pratyakshavagamam. Pratyaksha, we can understand by direct sense perception, direct perception of the self by realization. It's a very scientific process. This Pratyakshavagamam is the difference between religion and Krishna consciousness. Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, all the other kinds of religions that we have, they are faiths. Krishna consciousness is a process. It resembles Hinduism, but actually it's a process. Because in religions, they say, believe, you need to have belief, right? We say the world is like this, you need to accept it. Then you are part of the religion, otherwise not. But Krishna consciousness says that it's a process, it's not a religion. You follow the process, you will experience it yourself. You don't have to believe in anyone. You don't have to believe in what I'm saying. You practice it, you will realize it yourself. Pratyakshavagamam. You can experience it yourself. No other religion says this. They just say, just accept whatever we are saying, otherwise you're not part of the religion. Krishna consciousness says, no, experiment. That's why it's very scientific. What do we say as scientific? We tell observation, hypothesis, and experiment. That is the scientific process. We observe something, and then we observe that the tree is growing, and then we hypothesize maybe there is a seed inside there. And then we experiment. We take a seed, we pour water on it, we see it, experience it, we direct perceive it, that it's growing. And then that is proof, that is theory. So, in the same way, this is also very scientific. We observe that Krishna is telling in chapter 2, look, you are the soul, you're not this body. You are the soul because your body changes, you don't change. Who are you? You are someone different than this body. That's an observation. You're like, wow, how do I realize it? I'll tell you how to realize it. That's why this is Pratyaksha Vagamam. You chant Hare Krishna mantra, you focus on the mantra, you serve those who have perfected, and you please the Supreme Lord, it will be revealed from within. So observation, hypothesis, and then you can experiment upon it. You can experiment upon ourselves. We can just sit and chant Hare Krishna and experiment and see the results for ourselves. We don't have to believe in anyone. Srila Prabhupada, in fact, Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, if you see the video, God, Demigods, and Incarnations, at the end of this video, Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, he gives a challenge to everyone that you chant 16 rounds for 6 months and then you come to me. If you do not find any change in you, in yourself, I will give you $10,000. That's an open challenge on video, on tape, he gave to the entire world. 6 months, 16 rounds. And I'll take your word for it. I won't even argue. If you come and say, after 6 months, 16 rounds, Swamiji, it didn't work, I will give you $10,000 just on saying that. My guarantee is if you do that, you will be able to see a positive change in yourself, so much so that you cannot even fake it. It'll become reality. So experiment and you will find it yourself. That's why it gives direct perception, and therefore it's the greatest secret also, because just by saying, just by hearing, we may not be able to understand, but by experimenting we can understand. About secret, it is said that one time one friend complained to another friend that, oh, she told me that you told her secret that I did not tell her. And then the other friend said, well, I told her not to tell you that I told her. So the first friend said, oh dear, well, don't tell her that I told you that she told me. This is how secrets propagate. Don't tell her. That's the code to go and tell everyone else. Yeah, don't tell her that I told you that I told her. All of these things. This is real secret. Bhagavad Gita.
So therefore, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. That's why it is said pratyaksha dharmayam. That, Srila Prabhupada always says that it is not just enough that, yes, we are saying that Prabhupada said chant Hare Krishna. Prabhupada said chant Hare Krishna. It is there in the scriptures, yes, but let's just experiment it. Once we experiment it, we will feel the bliss. We will feel the ecstasy. Taste of the pudding is in the eating. Next slide, please. This brings us to the next important verse of this chapter, text 4.
Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakamurtina matsthani sarvabhutani nachaham teshvavasthita.
By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. So, all beings are in me. It implies that everything rests in Krishna, like we studied yesterday. Sutre manigana iva, Krishna says. Just like pearls are strung on a thread. So everything rests in me. So this entire cosmic manifestation is a combination of superior and inferior energies of the Lord. And just like the analogy can be given, that sunshine is spread all over the creation. All universes are resting in sunshine. Similarly, all creation is resting on the sunshine too.
Krishna's energy.
And Krishna's energy, which is the sunshine. So, but Krishna says one thing here which can get a little confusing. Krishna says all beings are in me, which we understood just now. But Krishna also says, I am not in them. Is that a contradiction? Krishna is present in every one of us as the Paramatma. Then why is Krishna saying that I am not in them? This is very beautifully explained by our acharyas. This Krishna is implying that the Lord, by all pervasiveness, does not lose his personal existence. So Krishna is refuting the philosophy that where it is said that since God is all pervading, he has lost his personal existence. You know, some people say, oh, when you take one candlelight and you put it in the other one, the first candlelight loses its existence. That is the philosophy. But Krishna here is saying, no, that's not something like that. When it implies that because God is all pervading, he does not lose his personal existence. You know, just like the analogy can be understood that, you know, a king of a particular city, the king heads the government, and the king is actually present in all of the departments through his energy. He may not be personally there as the king, but he's there in the form of his energy. So that is how Krishna is present in all of us. But he is simultaneously not present also by, you know, saying that he has not lost his individuality. His own personality is not lost in this whole thing. So that's how we understand this particular statement of Krishna. The next slide, please. This is
Maya
text 10.
Mayadhyakshena
Mayadhyakshena
prakriti
prakriti
suyate
suyate
sacharacharam
sacharacharam
hetunanena
hetunanena
kaunteya
kaunteya
jagat
jagadviparivartate.
viparvartate. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and unmoving beings by its rule. This manifestation is created and annihilated again and again and again. So here Krishna is explaining how the material nature is working, but whose nature? It must belong to someone. Srila Prabhupada would ask in life, yes, we worship nature. Some people are saying, I just worship the nature. Yes, but this nature, who does it belong to? Someone must be controlling. When we were born, this nature was there. When we will die and go away, this nature will still persist. So it does not belong to us, but it belongs to someone. It's being worked upon by someone. That saying that is me, which means Krishna.
Krishna. So the next one, text 11.
Avajananti
Avajananti
mam
mam
mudha
mudha
manushim
manushim
tanumashritam
tanumashritam
param
param
bhavam
bhavam
ajananto
ajananto
mama
mama
bhuta
bhuta
maheshwaram.
maheshwaram. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be. So, you know, Srila Prabhupada gave this very beautiful analogy that when a king, he comes to visit the prison house, you know, people think, you know, the prisoners there can mistake by thinking, oh, here comes another prisoner. Why is he in jail otherwise? Because he's definitely another prisoner who has come here. But he is in the prison house to inspect, to give some special mercy. If someone has been a good prisoner, he has been following all the rules and regulation, they get the presidential pardon. That's why the king is visiting the prison house. He's not visiting as the prisoner. So this is how Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport to this particular verse that this is how we need to understand the supreme position of Krishna. That Krishna, his body, although it may appear like human form, you know, just like we saw in the slideshow, beautiful, you know, Shama Sundara form of the Lord, two-handed form of the Lord. But he may appear human like to us, but Krishna's body is not material. Means his body is not comprised of earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego. Krishna's form is Satchidananda Vigraha. Krishna is Satchidananda Vigraha. So I request Prabhu to please explain what is the three compositions of Krishna's, personal body, his spiritual body, which is called as Satchid Ananda.
Yes, Sat means eternal. Chit means conscious, fully conscious of one's existence. Chit means knowledge, but doesn't mean knowledge of PhD or something, but knowledge and awareness of ourselves. For example, a this phone doesn't have consciousness. It's not aware that it exists. But this body is aware that it exists because it has a soul. The soul is aware. So that is chit. Ananda is blissful, bliss. Not just sukha. Sukha is different than ananda. Along with sukha, we will get dukkha. But ananda is pure ananda. Sukha means temporary happiness. Ananda is permanent, eternal bliss. That's the nature of the soul. That's Krishna's nature. And therefore, if we associate with Krishna, we will become blissful as well.
And that's why Lord Brahma proclaims in the Brahma Samhita, in his glorification of Krishna, he says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. So Krishna is being glorified as Satchidananda Vigraha. So can we have the next verse? Before we go to the next verse, we have received certain messages and requests from devotees that how do we memorize the verses? So we have also been requested by some devotees if we can just record, chapter wise the important verses. So we will be doing that as a service to all of you. We will record all the Sanskrit verses chapter wise that is there, and the PDF version of the 108 verses have already been sent in the WhatsApp groups to all of you. So we will be doing that. Just by listening it over and over again, you will be able to very easily memorize these verses. The way we memorized it is, the more we practice it in childhood, if you just listen it once or twice, the children, the intelligence is much more stronger. But for us as adults, if we just keep, hearing it over and over again and reading it at the same time, it's very easy to memorize.
Actually, when I was in the Brahmachari ashram in Chopati in 96 to 98, we were given a method. And the way to memorize the verses was you just read the first line 5 times, then read the second line 5 times, then read the first 2 lines 5 times. Repeat the same thing with third and fourth. Just read the third line 5 times, then the fourth line 5 times, then repeat third and fourth line together 5 times. Then you repeat the entire verse 5 times. If you do this every day, you will be able to memorize within a week. You can memorize so many different verses because it'll just become a habit of the tongue and the mind connection. As soon as you get the first word, Moghasha Mogha Karmano Mogha Jnana Vichetasa Rakshasim Asurim Chaiva Prakritim Mohinim Ashrita. It'll just come in like that. Of course, it helps. So if you do this, this is the tongue and the mind connection. But what's most important is to understand the meaning of what we are saying. And that will make you remember things. That will fix in the mind much more. So do this 5 times, and then 2 lines 5 times, third line, fourth line 5 times, and together 5 times, the whole verse 5 times. And try to read, understand the meaning of each and every word. And then it'll fit in your mind. The more you do that, the first few times it'll be difficult. It's not a rosy thing. First few times it'll be difficult, but if you persist, then the mind will understand the process and it'll actually seep in like a sponge.
And also with constant listening, it really helps. When we keep listening to that, that's how I learned personally the Brahma Samhita. So many verses. I used to listen to it constantly and also recite it. While I was listening, I would recite it myself while reading it. So it really helps in memorizing that way. So, hope this tip helps everybody. Let's go to the next slide, please. This is text 12. Mogha shamogha karmano,
Mano
mogha
Mogha
jnana
Jnana
vichetasha,
Vichetasha
rakshashim
Rakshasim
asurim
Asurim
chaiva,
Chaiva
prakritim
Prakritim
mohinim
Mohinim
shrita.
Shrita.
Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruit of activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. The next one, please.
Mahatmanastu Mam Partha
Daivim
Daivim
prakritimashritah
Prakritimashritah
bhajantyananya
Bhajantyανanya
manaso
Manaso
gyatva
Gyatva
bhutadim avyayam.
Bhutadimavyayam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. So here Krishna is explaining that the definition of Mahatma means Mahan Atma. They are very broad minded. In Shamrita, Srila Prabhupada explains Mahatma means broad minded. It's not just about their body or their immediate family or their country, or it actually, they think the whole Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole creation is a family. That is a Mahatma. And then they bhajantya ananya manaso, that they worship Krishna fully engaged 24 hours, no stoppage, like Srila Prabhupada.
So Srila Prabhupada always used to say that this Krishna consciousness is not an armchair philosophy. It's actually a way of life. So the more we imbibe this concept in our day-to-day life, the more we see the mercy of Krishna acting upon us. The next slide, please. Satatam
Satatam
kirtayanto
kirtayanto
mam
mam
yatantascha
yatantascha
dridhavrata
dridhavrata
namasyantascha
namasyantascha
mam
mam
bhaktya
bhaktya
nityayukta
nityayukta
upasate.
upasate.
Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion.
So one time, Srila Prabhupada's first disciple, Acharya Prabhakar Mishra, in India, he was a very respectable Sanskrit scholar. He was a teacher. He held an MA and a PhD title. And in an interview for Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita in the 1970s, Acharya Prabhakar stated to Bahu Shirastas that in 1954, Srila Prabhupada was in Jhansi on Krishna Janmashtami, 1954. He came to the West in 65, so almost 11 years before. And then Acharya Prabhakar Mishra related how he woke up at 1 a.m. and he heard Srila Prabhupada. He was ecstatically playing mridanga in the temple room upstairs, all alone, 1 a.m. in the morning or in the night, as you see. When he went upstairs, Acharya Prabhakar, he saw Srila Prabhupada was dancing around and playing mridanga and chanting and dancing around the temple room. He was performing kirtan and he was specifically wearing a kadamba flower garland all the way down to his feet, lotus feet. Now, Acharya Prabhakar, he noted that Kadamba flowers are very rare in Jhansi. And even when they are available, it was not the season, but even when they are available, they are small, like golf
Keli
balls.
Kadambas.
Yeah. But then Prabhupada's garland had like kadambas with like tennis ball size, big kadambas, and it was fragrant like anything. The entire room, it was surcharged with fragrance like heavenly planets or something. And so Acharya Prabhakar, he asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, may I ask, where did you get this garland from? It is not available in the market nowadays. But Srila Prabhupada would not answer. He just kept on performing kirtan, chanting, and dancing around the room. Then then Acharya Prabhakar paid obeisances, participated in the kirtan. Next day morning, he asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, you were wearing this garland. It was so fragrant, and these kadamba flowers, we don't find it in Jhansi. Where did you get this garland? How come it has such rich fragrance? And why were you feeling so blissful wearing that? Srila Prabhupada said, I was chanting to Krishna and I was feeling some love for him. And then Krishna appeared right in front of me and he personally gave me this garland. And then I went to touch his lotus feet and he disappeared. Because of that, I was so ecstatic that I was dancing around the temple room. And then Srila Prabhupada began crying. So this was Srila Prabhupada's mood. Satatam kirtayanto mam, to always perform kirtan very intensely. He would chant on and on and on for 3 days straight. These are the pastimes of a pure devotee who is immersed in the love of the Lord. But, sometimes some of us may have heard this pastime, but it's worth reading it, hearing it millions and millions of times because it gives so much faith. It nourishes our souls. Just as example of Srila Prabhupada. He would always want to do this every time. Satatam kirtayanto mam. He would actually encourage 12-hour kirtans, 24-hour kirtans. He in fact told in the Bombay temple to Srila Giriraj Maharaj, he once said that he told Srila Giriraj Maharaj had invited some bhajan party, some grihasthas would come together and they would do 6 hours of kirtan and then 2 hours of Vrindavan songs. They were not from ISKCON, but Srila Prabhupada said, well, why don't you ask them to do it at the temple one time? They would go in different people's homes and do it. And so one time they came to Hare Krishna land, Juhu, and Prabhupada was not very well. He was sick, but still he was appreciating how they are chanting. And he told Giriraj Maharaj, ask them if they can come and they can chant 12 hours. We'll give them prasadam every day. Srila Prabhupada was and one time they came down and Prabhupada was on the 5th floor and they were chanting and wanted to have darshan of Prabhupada. So Prabhupada couldn't go down to meet them, so he came out on the balcony very, very slowly, assisted by some devotees. And all of these devotees, they started jumping, Jai Shri Radhe, like that. So Srila Prabhupada after that told Giriraj Maharaj that every day we must have 12 hours of kirtan. And Giriraj Maharaj said, well, Prabhupada, I don't know, we are having so many services to do and 12 hours every day. So Prabhupada said, okay, every alternate day, Giriraj Maharaj said, Prabhupada, we are a preaching mission. You tell us to go out and preach, distribute books. If we keep doing kirtan, he said, okay, then how much can you do? He said, Prabhupada, we can try once a week. On Sunday we can do, and like that. So Prabhupada said, all right. Then later he was very excited, Giriraj Maharaj. He thought he bargained with Srila Prabhupada, and he went to Krishna Maharaj and he said, you know what? I bargained with Prabhupada. He was telling 12 hours every day. Now we just have to do 12 hours on Sunday. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, I know Prabhupada. He actually wanted you to do 12 hours on Sunday only. But if he would have started with 12 hours on Sunday, you would have bargained and would have brought it much less. So he said 12 hours every. If he has relented, if he has accepted, that means he wanted it this way. So that's why Yatantash, this verse is extremely important. That's why we want to spend some time on this verse. Yatantashcha dridhavrata. That one must dridhavrata, with endeavoring with determination. That is important. There, in this relation, there is the story of a bamboo, Chinese bamboo. The Chinese bamboo, it takes a long time to grow. One time you put the seed, and then you water it, and a
Nothing
day
comes.
passes, a week passes, a month passes, and then a 6 months pass. Nothing comes out, not even a sprout. In fact, the farmer has to mark where he put the seed, because for 6 months you don't know where the seed is. You have to mark it, and you keep watering, same time. And then after 6 months, in next 10 days, it grows up 10 feet. Boom, all the way up. Now imagine the determination of the farmers, how much they have to keep endeavoring to keep water without any results. Without any results. If you see the results are growing, then it's at least so much. So they say that actually, when you water, it's the Chinese bamboo is actually growing under the ground, because after 6 months, for next 10 days, when it grows, to support that rapid growth, it has to go down, its roots all the way down in the ground, grow down more than 10 feet, so that it can support the 10 feet above the ground. Similarly, dear devotees, when we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we are watering the Bhakti Lata beach in our heart. But then sometimes we see, I've been chanting for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. I'm not seeing any change in myself. Why? And then we feel despondent. It doesn't work for me. No, it is working. It's just not showing its effect externally right now. You know why? Because it's growing its roots inside. It's doing a purification of the heart, churning the heart inside. So let's not get disappointed. That is the meaning of determination. In the face of adversity, we keep going on and on. In face of no results or negative results, we are still continuing. Yatantascha dridhavrata. Determination. That is extremely important. You should remember how this bamboo tree, and then if we keep watering, boom, suddenly it'll grow one day. The love of God will grow up in 10 days, probably. But it needs that constant nourishment. If we stop, it may just die. Or if we commit offenses, it may die. All right?
The next verse, please. This is a very, very important verse. Text 22.
Ananyascintayanto
Ananyascintayanto
mam
mam
ye
ye
jana
jana
paryupasate
paryupasate
tesham
tesham
nityabhiyuktanam
nityabhiyuktanam
yogakshemam
yogakshemam
vahamyaham.
vahamyaham. But those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So, this is the promise of Krishna, just like which we were hearing from the first day of the introduction session about that Brahmana. Similarly, we see that Krishna, he personally comes to rescue his devotees. You see, in the picture in the slideshow, you can see that there is a photograph of Lord Nrsingadev protecting his dear devotee Prahlad. There's a photograph of Gajendra calling out to Krishna, and Krishna comes. And there's a picture of Draupadi, you know, calling out to Krishna when she was being insulted by the Dushasana, and then Krishna comes. But there's a difference. And today we'd like to share with all of you the difference over here. You see, the way that Gajendra was calling out to Krishna, Gajendra was so helpless. The elephant Gajendra, he was so helpless that he came into this river to, have some water pastimes, and then he got caught by the crocodile. His feet was caught on by the crocodile, and for 1,000 celestial years, it is said that the crocodile bit on the feet of Gajendra. And when it was doing that, Gajendra did not know what to do. The crocodile was more powerful because the water is its, strength. Gajendra, the elephant, was losing its power. So, in that state of utter helplessness, Gajendra just picked up a lotus in the pond and just, with its trunk, and he just said, Krishna, please help me. He recited the most beautiful Narayana Kavacha prayers. And at that moment, Krishna in his heart as Paramatma inspired him to remember, his previous life, and he remembered those verses of Narayana Kavacha prayers, and he offered them to Krishna, and immediately Krishna came. And it said that Krishna came, Lord Vishnu came on Garuda. When Lord Vishnu came on Garuda, it said if Lord Vishnu would have wanted, Lord Vishnu could have, just by his own desire, would have been able to bring Gajendra out. But it is said that Lord Vishnu touched the body of Gajendra and pulled him out. And when he pulled him out of the water, the crocodile, which was clutching on to the feet of Gajendra, also came out. And first, Lord Vishnu, took his Sudarshan chakra and he cut apart the crocodile. He delivered the crocodile first. And there's a very beautiful reason for this, which was told to us by our father. He said that the reason why Lord Vishnu first delivered the crocodile is because the crocodile had taken shelter at the lotus feet of a wonderful devotee like Gajendra. So that's why Krishna first, rescued and delivered the crocodile. And then Gajendra was given Swarupya Mukti. From the animal form, from the elephant, Gajendra was transported to Vaikuntha Loka as in the form of Krishna, 400 form of Krishna. So this is how Gajendra, got delivered. Then we have Draupadi. Draupadi, when she was being insulted by the Shasana, she was dragged into the assembly hall. And, she went to Dhritarashtra, she went to Pitama Bhishma, she went to her father's dear friend Dronacharya. Please protect me, please help me. Nobody came to her aid. She went to her 5 powerful husbands. They were also not able to help her. And then she tried, when Dushasana was pulling at her sari, she was trying with her effort to protect herself. When she saw that Dushasana was so strong, she immediately just raised her hands and she just called out, Hey Govinda, Hey Krishna. And immediately Krishna came. So these two devotees, Gajendra and Draupadi, they called for Krishna and Krishna immediately came. But our scriptures, the Srimad Bhagavatam, gives us example of 2 more devotees who did not call for Krishna because they had complete faith in the protection of Krishna. One is the little boy Prahlad, 5-year-old little boy Prahlad. He was being tortured by his own father, the demon Hiranyakashipu, by, putting him in a pit of snakes, by burning him in the fire, by throwing him down the cliff. Prahlad Maharaj never even once called out, Oh, Krishna, save me. He never said that. Because Prahlad had faith that whatever will be there, the Lord will protect me. Avashya Rakshibe Krishna, A Vishwas. So Prahlad Maharaj never even once called out for Krishna. But Krishna came as the most beautiful, magnanimous form of Lord Nrsingadev, half lion, half man form. And he came and killed Hiranyakashipu and protected the little boy Prahlad. So this is how the Lord comes, because the devotee has unflinching faith in the Lord that the Lord will definitely protect. Similarly, we see in the Bhagavatam one more story of Ambarish Maharaj. When he was doing his fast, and he was fasting Nirjala, that time Durvasa Muni came. Durvasa Muni wanted to, have prasad. And he said, okay, I'll take bath and come. And Ambarish Maharaj, the time for breaking his fast was going. So he just broke his fast by drinking some water. But Durvasa came and he was offended and said, "How can you eat or drink anything without serving me first?" So then Durvasa Muni got so offended, he pulled out a strand of his hair and a demon came out, a fiery demon came out. And Ambarish Maharaj, he was so dependent on the Lord. He never called out for Krishna. He said, whatever it is. He just folded his hands and he stood there. But the Lord, he immediately sent his Sudarshan Chakra and he just, cut off the head of the demon. And that Sudarshan Chakra then started following Durvasa Muni all over the three planetary systems. And then Durvasa Muni had to go to Vaikuntha and he said, Lord Narayan, please save me. He said, I can't save you. He said, well, it's your weapon. Save me. He said, no, you have offended my devotee. So if my devotee forgives you, then my weapon will let you go. So I can't do anything. So then Durvasa ran back to Ambarish, who was standing in the same position. And he begged for forgiveness, that please forgive me. And then Durvasa Muni said, Ambarish Maharaj said, no, there's no question of me forgiving you. So don't worry, no problem. Everything is okay. So then Durvasa Muni was forgiven. So we see in these two cases that Lord Nrsingadev came and protected Prahlad. Durvasa Muni's wrath, from the wrath of Durvasa Muni, Ambarish Maharaj was protected. So these devotees didn't even have to ask Krishna for the protection. This is how we learn to depend on the mercy of the Lord. This is how the Lord is Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. The next slide, please. Yanti deva vrata devan pitrin yanti pitrivrata bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti madhyajinopimam.
Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship ancestors go to their ancestors, and those who worship me live with me.
So Krishna is saying, as whatever we do, we get the result accordingly. The next slide, please.
Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktyuparam ashnami prayatatmana.
If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. So here Krishna is saying very, very clearly that I just have to, I'm not attached to what you're offering, but the mood with which you're offering. So this is what we understand, that Krishna tastes our love more than importantly than what we are offering. The next one, please. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yad juhosi dadhasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam.
O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as the austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering to me.
So these are Krishna saying, these are the traits of bhakti. These are the traits of a person who is engaged in devotion. The next slide, please. Very, very important verse, text 29. Samoham sarva bhuteshu na me dveshyosti na priya ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mai te teshu chapyaham. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. So Krishna here is, showing his partiality to devotees. You see, Lord Ramachandra, he is called as Niyam Parayan. He is Maryada Purushottam, Lord Ram. So he is the follower of rules and regulations. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is Prem Parayan. Prem means, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Kripa Parayan. Kripa means that I don't deserve the mercy, but we are just getting the mercy. We are just receiving the mercy. So Lord Chaitanya, when he is giving out Krishna Prem, he doesn't see who is qualified, who is not qualified. He just gives his mercy. So Lord Chaitanya is called as Kripa Parayan. But Krishna, he is Prem Parayan. Prem Parayan means that Krishna, whoever has love, Krishna will just go there. When Krishna visited Hastinapur as the Shanti Doot, Duryodhan came to Krishna and said, Krishna, come, I have Chappan Bhog in my palace, you come. Duryodhan's offer was rejected by Krishna. And rather, he accepted the invitation, the humble invitation of Vidura. And he went to Vidura's house and he had the simple, sak and roti he had in Vidura's home. And Vidura's wife was so much in love with Krishna and she was so much in devotion to Krishna that after the meal she was serving Krishna a banana and she peeled the banana, she kept the fruit and she offered Krishna the peel. And Krishna is so kind, so merciful, he accepted the peel. That's how much Krishna loves his devotees. Next verse, please.
Api chet suduracharo bhajate mamananya bhag sadhureva mantavya samyak vyavasito hi sah. Even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated.
So we need to understand that this is the position that sins or papa can be eradicated. Krishna forgives that. But Krishna does not forgive one thing: when we offend devotees. When we speak ill of the devotees of Krishna, Krishna takes that very personally. It's like Krishna Chaitanya, excuse me. It's like Krishna says that when a devotee is offended, it's like arrows are piercing his own chest. So Krishna forgives papa, but Krishna does not forgive aparadha or offense to devotees. Aparadha, you can see, even apa means against, and Radha is Radharani. So when we are going against Radharani, the internal potency, the pleasure potency of Krishna, then we are going against Krishna. Krishna's mercy is going to get stopped. So we have to be careful that we do not commit offenses to devotees. The next slide, please.
Mam hi partha vyapashritya
Yepi shupapayonaya striyo vaishyas tatha shudras tepi yanti param gatim. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, as well as Shudras, can approach the supreme destination. Now, this verse, please, those of us in the woman body, please do not take this personally. That why is Krishna saying that these are of lower birth? Why? Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that women have to undergo so much difficulties, in this, because of this kind of body. So it is considered, according to Shastra, it is considered to be, a body in which we are not able to do much. There's limitations of the body. But yet again, tomorrow we will see in chapter 10 how Krishna is glorifying women. Krishna says that among women, I am fine speech, I am memory, I am intelligence. So Krishna is glorifying the women also. So please never ever feel that Krishna is looking down upon women. This is just some kind of a fact, and we should take it only as a fact and not take it personally. So next and the last verse of this chapter. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyashi sattvatvaivam atmanam matparayanaha.
Engage your mind always in thinking of me, offer obeisances and worship me, being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So, this is a very important verse. This is in the ninth chapter, and it's also repeated in the 18th chapter. So, we can see Krishna is emphasizing this halfway within Bhagavad Gita, that remember me, always think about me, always obeisances, worship me, be absorbed in me. This is the meaning of being absorbed in the chanting of the holy name. And 18th chapter again, he says the same similar verse. At least the first two lines are similar. So we can understand how Krishna is telling us to just be absorbed in thinking about him, about him. So with this, we will end today. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. And now we start the interactive session.
So, in the interactive session, we would first like to request all of our listeners that how many of you, can you please share how many of you did the assignment, especially the third one, which is share the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with your friends and family? How many of you did that assignment, and what was your response, the reaction? If you can please share, or you can even put it down in the comments. So please, anyone?
Hare Krishna. May I share?
Hare Krishna. We heard two voices.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Soumya from India Mataji.
Yes, Soumya.
And I shared the Mahamantra with nearly 20 members Mataji, and with my father and mother also. I explained how Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One Krishna is equal to three Ramas, and I explained that process Mataji, that how many times we will chant Vishnu Sahasranamam, even by chanting one line of Mahamantra.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Soumya. Flavia, would you like to share anything?
May I share?
Who is this?
Anju here?
Yes, Anjuji, please go ahead.
Hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji, Jai Shri Radhe.
Jai Shri Radhe.
Yeah, I had shared it actually, just like a family member. She stays with me. She actually look my house help, and she's very devotee. She will help in doing the puja room and everything. And yesterday I just told her, you sit over here with me and let's do Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And she just said so beautifully, like, it was just coming from her heart. And I was just looking at her and I was just said, like, and she just, like, nothing else we had to say. I think the silence was the best thing. And it was completely devoted. That's Wonderful. The thing I did yesterday.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anjuji. Flavia, let's try one more time. Flavia, can you please turn on your mic? And we can hear
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna. There you are. Yes. Please, go ahead.
I just wanted to say I have shared with my partner and actually also my grandson. And he asked for japa beads so that he can do rounds with me, but he doesn't want to get up early to do them. And my partner now, every time, because it's habit, I'm just like, Hare Krishna, I've seen you do throughout the day. And now, every time I start, she finishes it, or she would just hum it, and without the words, just hum it, the tune. So that's good because Krishna is now entering her heart. So
that's
happy.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that the goodness of your heart is coming, reflecting on your face. Thank you.
And the more we share, actually, if we have just 1%, we share that 1%, Krishna is very pleased. You will see that Krishna will give us that determination to continue in our spiritual path the more we share. This is after he gave all his instructions in Bhagavad Gita, he says after that, he says that please share this with everyone. One who shares it is very, very dear to me. So there is a selfish interest in all of us. If you're doing this, if you're sharing it with everyone else, we will get the spiritual strength to share more.
So that's why, on the last day, we will read it together, that how we can become dear to Krishna. And that's why this sharing assignment we are giving every day during this course, so that at the end of the course, we don't start at that time, but we've started 9 days before. And we hope that you'll keep continuing to do that, so that we can become dear to Krishna. So, Vinita Mataji, thank you so much for sharing. Shared it with my son's colleagues when they had come for Janmashtami celebrations. 15 of us, we completed one round of chanting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing that. Anyone else? One more person would like to share?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Shyampriya Devi Dasi.
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, Prabhuji, I shared it with my family, like my auntie and my like Babi and all, and we were talking and like talking about Krishna. I just called them and I said, please, I want to talk about Krishna. Can you spare a minute and talk? And they said, yeah. And then we started to talk. And we were just talking for 2 hours just about Krishna consciousness and all the knowledge that you gave us in these days. I was talking and they were like, my aunt, she listens to English lectures, but she sometimes gets some problems. So she was saying that you explained it so nicely in Gujarati. So it helped me a lot. And we all enjoyed so much those 2 hours, and we did not realize that, it's already been so much. So it was a very, very nice time of my day today.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Shampriya Mataji. All glories to your services. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to start now with our interactive session, that please share one thing that you learned today, which was new to you, or something that you really liked and enjoyed. Please share that one thing. You can write it down in your comments, and anyone who would like to share.
Garima.
Yes, Garima.
I learned that when you put the seed in the bamboo in the tree, it doesn't grow until 6 months. But after 6 months and 10 years, it grows 10 feet long.
Wow.
And
you like that?
Yeah, similarly, in the heart, Krishna is, Bhakti is in your heart, like the seed is in your heart, but it's still growing.
Wonderful.
But it's coming out.
Very nice.
Some people think that, why should I do it? It's been 5, 10, 15, but it's not coming. But it will come.
Haribo.
It will come. We are seeking shelter of Garima, so of course it will come.
Wonderful.
Thank you,
wonderful.
Bacha. Thank you so much.
This is only for Chinese bamboo, okay? Not for any bamboo tree. Other bamboo trees, Indian bamboo trees, they come very fast. But Chinese bamboo trees have this problem.
Thank
Not
you,
problem,
Garima.
but nature. Yeah.
Okay, next, if we can have Anjuji to share, please.
Yeah, may I share?
Yes, please, Anjuji.
Yeah. The story of Prabhupada dancing at 1 a.m. early morning, it was so beautiful. Like, it was so motivating. It teaches you so many things, if you deeply just listen and just become just absorb it.
Yeah.
There was so much of learning today, many learnings, but this was exceptional, beautiful. The way he danced, the way he devotees, everything, and even so many things, bamboo, also many things for very, very new learning.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much for sharing all this and just teaching us all these beautiful things, and even
trick of learning the mantras was also so nice. Prabhuji explained how we can learn the mantras. I'm definitely going to try that, because that is also one thing, like we have to learn so much of shlokas also.
Yes.
So thank you for everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjuji. Yes, my dear Kirti, please go ahead.
What I learned in today's class is the meaning of aparadha. I never knew the meaning of aparadha. Everybody was saying aparadha, and I was like aparadha. But today I really knew the meaning of aparadha. And one other thing I liked about today's class was how Prabhuji explained how to memorize the Bhagavad Gita sloka really easily, because I want to memorize Bhagavad Gita slokas, but it takes a little bit of time for me. But I'm going to use these tips, and I'm going to try to read more Bhagavad Gita really quick. Thank you, Mataji and Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Kirti. Love you, Bacha. Thank you so much. Rajeshwari Mataji, thank you for your comment. Shamala, thank you for your comment. Ramya Mataji, thank you so much for your comment. Okay, anybody else would like to share?
Yes, Mataji. Go ahead, Mataji. Go ahead.
Okay, Mataji. Today I learned that Gita is a Rahasya. Everyone, so we have so many books. I used to buy English, Telugu and Hindi also, Mataji. And I used to distribute books also. But still, I don't know till now that it is a Rahasya. And I thought this is a book I can read, I can gain the knowledge. But truly, Prabhuji said it is a Rahasya only. After hearing from you, now I'm gaining the knowledge from that. See, those many years, after long years, Mataji, thank you very much. And one more thing I learned is that Krishna is within the persons and within the living things and without the living things also. The concept everyone used to ask that every living entity and non-living entities having Krishna, why you have to gain Krishna, they used to ask. Because of love we are praying, but I am unable to answer correctly to them. But today you told, I got the answer from you, Prabhuji, and from today onwards I used to explain in that. Thank you. Prabhuji, thank you.
So now you know the secret. So now you go and tell the secret to everyone. Thank you, Soumya. Shampriya Mataji, would you like to share?
Yes, Mataji. What I learned about, I learned so many things, and as the Prabhupada story I liked, but I even got the understanding about how you explained, like Draupadi and Gajendra, they were asking for help, and Amrish Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj, they did not ask for help. So sometimes what we think, like how Prabhuji was saying that we have chanted for so many years, we are doing so much of Krishna Bhakti, and then why are we getting so much of bad things in our life? Why are we getting something that we don't like? Then we think, oh, is Krishna even listening, or is Krishna even, why is he not reciprocating? So, but we should always think from this. I got to learn that Krishna knows that when my devotee will really need my help, I'm going to be there. So the one thing I learned that we have to really, really have faith in Krishna. So that was very nice. Hare Krishna.
Haribol, Haribol. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we come to the second exercise. Krishna Chaitanya, excuse me.
Share a story of how prasadam affected your life. It may have changed your life, or it may have just, you may have felt some change with prasadam. So some story of how maybe sometimes we later realize that, oh, it was because I had this prasadam that I could understand this Bhagavad Gita.
Can I share?
Yes.
Shampriya Devi. Okay, I used to always eat onion garlic, and I used to, like, everybody, like my devotee family would always tell me that don't eat onion garlic. That is the big step that will help you. If you stop eating, it will help you to go further in Krishna consciousness. And I'm like, oh no, I'm still young and I cannot even do anything without onion garlic. I need onion garlic. But then all of a sudden, I don't know what, I stopped onion garlic, and I started to offer everything to Krishna with the tulsi leaf. And I could feel like I was having so much of bhakti coming, just wanting to learn everything about Krishna, talk about Krishna, just more and more enthusiasm came in my life. And then my husband, I was really wanting that, oh Krishna, please, my husband is not chanting and I want him to chant. So I asked one of the Prabhuji, I'm like, my Prabhu is not chanting and I want him to do Krishna Bhakti. What should I do? And he told me that just pray to Krishna and give him Krishna Prasadam and it will work. So like how Prabhuji was saying about Tamal Krishna Prabhu in 6 months. So that worked for me. Like my husband, he started chanting 8 rounds and he started believing what Krishna is. So prasadam is really, we think it is not helpful, but just keep offering prasadam, and that is going to make a big change in our devotional life. That is for sure. That is a big experience in my life. So
Thank you. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's amazing to hear. Thank you so much. Anyone else?
Krishna Mataji. This is
Champaklata Sakhi Dasi.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam, all goes to Prabhupada, all goes to Gurudev. Please accept my humble obeisances. I want to share, yes, there were a lot of things happened because of prasadam at my place, but the biggest miracle I saw in my life was, not my life actually, we were new to the temple, we were going to the temple, and my husband's, my Prabhu's employee, he really loved temple prasadam. So every Sunday we would make 1 plate extra for him, sometimes 2 plates, and then we would, and then my Prabhu will give him every Monday. And they used to be non-vegetarians. And after eating maybe barely 10, 12, 15 times, every Sunday without fail, we would take prasad extra plates for them. And then he was so kind, he would take it home for his children Monday evening. And his children told him, we really don't like to eat meat. You all can eat if you want to eat meat, but we don't want to eat meat. Please don't cook for us. So first, his children quit eating meat. And because children were not eating, parents also quit eating meat. So they became vegetarian because of prasadam.
Wonderful.
And they don't come to the temple. They came only 1 time. But indirectly, they also started sending some donation for the temple also. So the biggest difference of prasadam, I saw that. Number 2, at my mom's house, my Masi, she was not at all into Krishna consciousness. But I was there.
And then when my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Charu Maharaj, then he was on Zoom, he was chanting with us. And then my Masi, she started to chant with my Guru Maharaj. First she started to chant 8, then she picked up to 16. She didn't used to chant every day, but
let me speak. So now she chants 16 rounds every day.
Wonderful,
She
wonderful.
did prasadam for a few days, and also she chanted on Zoom call almost 2 to 3 days with Guru Maharaj.
Wonderful.
And I want.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you, Garima. Thank you, Mataji. So we have so many different comments from Vinita Mataji, from Rajeshwari Mataji, and also from Kamal Sampat. Thank you so much for sharing that comment. We are really hoping, and it's really very encouraging that these sessions are helping. So Madhubhashini Mataji, yes, please share.
Mataji, it's not my mom, it's me, Mataji.
Yes, Kirti, tell me.
Again. So what I wanted to share about prasadam is the difference between normal food and prasadam. So since prasadam is offered to our deities, has a different taste to it. So the normal food just tastes normal. They're just made, cooked, and they're just given out. But the food that we offer to Krishna is way more sattvic because Krishna is eating it before us. So prasadam, if you eat prasadam, it is really good for your body more than just eating normal prasadam. That's what I wanted to share, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hi,
Hare Krishna.
Kirti. Thank you. Anybody else? One more.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna,
Shall I
Soumya.
share, Mataji?
Yes, please.
Mataji, I'm not at all good in cooking, Mataji. But when I used to cook prasadam, it will be very nice, Mataji.
I do not agree that you're not a good cook. I have been recipient of
No,
your
Mataji.
cooking.
Before Krishna consciousness, I was very bad of cooking, Mataji. And after coming to Krishna consciousness, I used to cook prasad for every weekend session we are going to have in Keshavi Mataji's house. We used to cook different dishes for Krishna. At that time, I learned so many things, and that is the best thing, Mataji.
Wonderful. Thank you, Soumya. Thank you so much.
All right, so now we can open the floor for questions. If there are any questions or comments, we can
Yes,
take now.
Prabhuji.
Please.
I just related to this prashadam since we were talking. So sometimes we have some devotionals like kirtan at some devotee, not like a so-called devotee, like they are not in so much in Krishna consciousness. They are eating meat and everything, but when they have kirtan, you know how they make prashadam. So is it like should we take prashadam at their house because they are even cooking meat and they are eating meat? So, is it? Can you explain on that, madam?
It's a very good question. This question was asked to our spiritual master because, this thing we face all the time. So what he said is that if we can take, if in a home, they are cooking meat and all that, if they have clean pots in which they do not cook meat, like sometimes most Indian families, when they do puja archana like that, they have some pots in which, it's like sattvic pots. They don't cook meat or anything in those pots. So if that family has that kind of pots, then it's okay. If they don't have that kind of pots, then our spiritual master advised that we can take, our pots to them. And he said that if one initiated devotee just is there to, supervise in the sense we don't go as a supervisor, but we just go there to offer our help, that we will come to just help you. So we, while we are cooking with them in a very friendly way, in a very like a more family kind of way, we can explain to them certain things like, why, what is the importance of cooking in a sattvic way, what is, because some women, they have the habit of tasting while cooking. So therefore, if an initiated devotee or a practicing devotee is there, then they can, help in all of this, that they can show them that, no, we first offer to Krishna, and then we take and taste like that. So these things, when it is just told, like you tell it as a supervisor like that, that doesn't really, make it so personal. But rather, when we go there as a family and participate with them, then it's perfectly fine. Then we teach them how to offer to Krishna, and then they can offer and we can eat in their house, no problem, because it has been offered as Krishna prasad. So we can take that prasad, no problem. If it is cooked in that way and if it is offered in the proper way, we can definitely take that prasad.
So, like my husband, I cook my prasad and I offer it to Krishna, but we don't taste it. So my Prabhu tells me that you should always taste and offer. I'm like, no, because Krishna has to have the prasad. We cannot eat it. He's like, what if the prasad is not good, and then you're offering it to Krishna, and then he has to eat the bad prasad, and then you salt or sugar to yours, and you will eat the nice prasad. So he was telling me like that.
So that's why in Krishna's plate we offer some salt. Also, it is recommended that we offer salt, chili, lime to Krishna's plate in a little bowl, in a side bowl. We offer little salt, little black pepper, little lemon, chili, all that, as condiments, and we offer, so that if there is any deficiency, Krishna can add and then he can take.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. And then I'm going to go to my question that I was having, like how the forgiveness about Amrish Maharaj, like he was a devotee and he forgave Durvasa, like Durvasa Muni went to him for forgiveness. So are we like, are we even at the stage that we can forgive as a devotee? I know, like, we cannot say that are we at the stage, because for myself, I'm not at that stage, that because forgiveness Krishna is the only one who can forgive, because I think we don't have the right to forgive, because then it will be like an ego. Oh, I'm more superior to that person, so I'm forgiving that person. So how can you explain on that, Matan?
That's a very nice question. Yes, we are not qualified to forgive them as a superior, but we forgive for our own purification. Because if we keep the grudge in our heart, it's like holding a coal, hot coal in our hand. And that will stop us if we keep the grudge in our heart. If we have not forgiven, means we have kept the grudge. And if we say, oh, I cannot forgive because I'm not qualified, so I'll keep the grudge within my heart so that it keeps eating me inside. No, we forgive. The mood of forgiveness is important. The consciousness in which we forgive is not, I forgive you, go, and now you're
Lead your
free.
life.
No, our consciousness in forgiving is that I'm not qualified and I don't want to keep any grudge. I want to, I'm very fallen, so you cannot even offend me. So in that sense, there is, I forgive. But if we feel offended, then that means we have a grudge. That means the sign for that is, if that person's name is taken, are we feeling something bad in our heart? If that person we see, are we feeling anything bad in our heart? That means that grudge is there. And if we have grudge to even one person, Krishna will not allow us back home, back to Godhead. So we should practice at every point for our purification, not as a senior for the other person, but for our own purification. We must forgive so that we don't carry any grudges against anyone. And always be like a honeybee mentality, look at the good in others and ignore the faults. And we have to practice that every time, then it will become second nature. And Krishna will give true forgiveness, which is nothing but tolerance, which is nothing but tarorapi sahishnuna. To be tolerant means to first forgive, but forgive in a mood of purification. Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji, very nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shampriya Mataji. Jamuna Ras, you have a question?
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Can you hear?
Yes,
Yes.
we can hear.
Can you hear me, Mataji?
Yes, we can hear.
We can hear you. Go
Can
ahead.
you hear us?
माता जी, प्रभु जी, मेरा पहला क्वेश्चन ये था कि पीपल वृक्ष और कृष्णा के बीच में क्या कनेक्शन है। दूसरा ये था कि क्या स्पिरिचुअल वर्ल्ड में रैबिट्स होते हैं और राधा रानी और कृष्णा उनके साथ में खेलते हैं।
ओके, पहले हम आपका पहला क्वेश्चन।
रैबिट है मेरा बेटा।
So, people tree, is sometimes, is also like a banyan tree, although it's in English, it's sometimes called ficus tree, something like that. So, but still, banyan tree, Krishna says, amongst all the trees, know me to be the banyan tree. The next chapter, kal jo hum chapter karenge, isme we will see that Krishna tells that among all the trees, I am the banyan tree. So therefore, the people tree or the banyan tree is worshipable in that sense. And whether there in the spiritual world, yes, there is. In fact, Srimati Radharani, she has a pet rabbit. She has many pet rabbits. So there are lots of rabbits in the spiritual world too.
Radharani likes rabbits.
Radharani likes all living entities. So
She has parrots,
Okay,
she has
Mataji.
rabbits.
I have 2 rabbits, so I read yesterday.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji, you were saying something.
No, I was just saying that Radharani has parrots, she has rabbits, she has so many different uh, peacocks, peahens, all of them.
Thank you so much, Jamuna.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thanks.
Uma Mataji, you have a question. Yes.
Yes, Mataji, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. We didn't touch this verse today in chapter 9, text 17,
Mhm.
where towards the end, Krishna says, Rig Sama Yajur Evacha.
Mhm.
But we know that through the Bhagavatam that it was just one Veda that was there, and then Vyasa Mahamuni has split it into the 4 Vedas. Why does Krishna only mention 3 here?
Mm.
Does the Evacha account for the Atharva Veda?
By the way, first thing, I love your backdrop.
That is the Shri Kishore Kishori from Chicago.
Yes, yes, they're lovely. They're lovely. So yes, Eva actually, talks about Atharva Veda. So Rig Sama Yajur Eva Cha, So yes, the 4th Veda, which is the Atharva Veda, is actually the 4th Veda. Srila Prabhupada tells that. So that's how we understand it. The word Eva means, and the Yajur and Atharva Vedas. So
Yeah, because in the purport Prabhupada mentions, and because in all the hymns of the 4 Vedas, Sama, Yajur, Rig, and Atharva, the Pranava or Omkara is prominent. It is understood to be Krishna.
and
So-
if you read the synonyms also, Eva of course just means certainly, but Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that Rig, Sama, Yajur, and Atharva is the combination of these 4 Vedas is what Krishna is actually talking about here.
But he is the main focus is not the Vedas. Focus is he's the Omkara.
Yes,
So,
Which is in these Vedas.
Vedas, yeah.
Well, thank you.
thank you for asking.
Thank you so much, Uma Mataji. Any other questions?
Yes, Mataji, if nobody has, I have one question, if it is okay to ask.
Yes, please.
Okay, so like how Prabhuji was explaining, like when he was explaining Raj Vidya, so I heard like when Prabhuji was saying that you have to realize the Krishna consciousness. You don't have to believe in Krishna consciousness. Was it something like that, Prabhuji? So like when you were explaining that I could not understand about the realization and the belief.
Yes, it's like in some other religions they say God is, you have to believe in God. Now, why should I believe in God? I have not seen God. No, you should believe in God because I have seen God. So therefore, you just believe. Whereas Bhagavad Gita says that you practice and you will realize it yourself. So till the time you realize, you have to have faith. It's something like if you're using a GPS to go to a particular place, right? We have the GPS, we have the maps, and that if you want to go from your place to the temple, you look at the map. If the first time you're going, you look at the map, and then you follow the map. The map says, okay, you'll reach this particular highway, and then if you follow this road, you will reach here, and then and then you follow the map and you say, yes, the map says I will reach this highway, and I've reached. So your faith increases on the map, right? Initially you came with, I don't know, let me give some benefit of doubt to the map. Many people say that this map works, I will follow it, let's see what happens. As you follow it, you started with maybe 1% faith or 0.1% faith. But as you follow the map, you see the milestones, and you see the map says you'll reach this highway, you reach that. And then you say you take exit from this highway, you'll reach this signal, you reach that. And so your faith, with every milestone, your faith keeps increasing. But it's not 100% faith until you reach the temple or reach your destination, right? So similarly, Krishna consciousness, Bhagavad Gita is saying, Krishna says, I am God. But have we really realized it? We are having faith in Srila Prabhupada's faith. We are having faith that Krishna is saying, that's why we are having faith. But our faith is just at the level of maybe giving a benefit of doubt. But when we start practicing, we'll start seeing that we are advancing. Oh, Krishna says, if you do this, this is the result you will get. And I'm getting that. Now your faith in Krishna increases more automatically. It's not fanatical faith that I don't have any experiential faith, but I'm just having faith because I have to have faith. It doesn't want you to have blind faith, but practical faith. So faith is important, belief is important, but not blind faith or blind belief. Practical faith, practical belief, you follow the guidance of a guru, you start seeing those changes in yourself, then your faith increases. Then you start feeling more and more blissful. Then your faith increases more until, with the eyes filled, anointed with the salve of love, we are able to, Krishna reveals himself. Then our faith is 100%. That's like nishtha. That's at the level of prema. Love starts with faith. Faith is the first stepping stone of love. But faith is not the end. Faith just helps. Then it becomes stronger. It comes to the phase of nishtha. As we keep practicing. If we stop practicing, we stop progressing. We may be, Rupa Goswami says, Adau Shraddha, Tatha Sadhu Sangha, Tatha Bhajan Kriya, Tatha Anartha Nivritti Syat. Then nishtha, ruchi, asakti, and bhava and prema. These 9 stages. But we have to constantly keep watering, constantly keep chanting, constantly practicing. And our faith increases as we pass through these different phases. So in that sense, there is a difference between religion, regular religion, and Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness gives a process, whereas regular religion says you behave as if you have 100% faith. I don't have it. I want to be honest. Unless I see Krishna, my faith will not be 100%. I can fanatically say yes, yes, yes. But right now my faith is because Srila Prabhupada has faith in that. My Guru Maharaj has faith. I've seen devotees who have faith. Therefore I have faith. So that's good. We go with that. But our goal is to have experiential faith. And then when Krishna reveals from within, then whatever anyone says, we have firm in our faith. Does that make sense?
Just like, it's about what Prabhu was explaining. The root word of the word education is edukari, means to come from within. So it's not really, knowledge, means from jnana, it's the stage of going to vijnana, which means, realized knowledge. So therefore, in the scriptures it said, Atha Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahyam indriyer Sevon mukhehi jivhadav swayam eva spuratyadaha. Means Atha Shri Krishna Namadi, that this, Krishna, his names, his leelas, his paraphernalia, all of this is na bhavet grahyam. We cannot perceive it by our gross mundane senses. It's impossible. But how is it possible to get the mercy of Krishna? Sevon mukhehi jivhadav, by jivha, by our tongue, because the tongue is the most powerful of all the senses, because it has 2 activities. One is to talk, the other is to taste. So when we engage the tongue in the service of Krishna, then swayam eva spuratyadaha, then everything is revealed from within. That's called experiencing. That's why it said, tasting the pudding The no one
Taste of the pudding is in the
in
eating.
in the eating. So that's called tasting the pudding, basically. I can keep telling you that this is so good, so good, so good. Unless you eat it, you will not realize it. No. So that's how Srila Prabhupada explained this. We hope that this answers your question.
Yes, Mataji and Prabhuji, thank you so much. And then, like how we were talking about pap. So, like if we do any pap, I don't know if it is called pap. If you do any activity that is related to Krishna, but it is like supposing for example, if you want to go to a katha and you cannot go, but you are going to tell a lie that I'm going to go to this place, but you go to the katha, or like if there are some flowers in somebody's yard and that nobody's living in your next yard, and you steal those flowers and you offer it to Krishna, like something like that. So is that called? I don't know. Is that called pap, Mataji?
Once in New Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada was there in New Vrindavan, and the disciples, they made a beautiful garland for Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada asked, "Oh wow, from where did you get the flowers?" They said, "Oh, just down the street, in the neighbor's home, these flowers were growing and we just got it." And Prabhupada asked, "Did you take the permission of the neighbor? Did you take their permission?" He said, "No, no, Prabhupada, this flower belongs to Krishna. So we just took it." Then
To give to
Prabhupada said,
Krishna.
"To give to Krishna." So then Prabhupada said, "No, no, no. We need to have certain moral ethics because devotees are looked upon. They are looked upon, that Srila Prabhupada wanted everyone in the society to have impeccable character, to have spotless character. That's very important. So yes, sometimes, of course, could be that we may have, like you said, speaking something untruthful to go to a satsang.
But
Maybe
actually, if I may add a little bit,
yes, yes.
Srila Prabhupada said about the flower that yes, that flower belongs to Krishna and you are trying to give it to Krishna. But Krishna has put this flower under this person's care.
So we
And
need to
so
take
we need to
permission.
take permission from this person. Otherwise, it belongs to Krishna, but it's under their care. And we are asking permission if we can take under our care. So that goes on along with everything else, and we are representing Krishna in anything that we are doing. So whatever things we do, others are actually judging
Very
Krishna based on that.
scrutinizingly seeing it. So therefore, we must be careful that we are not doing anything, like we must uphold our moral values. That one Srila Prabhupada always was very careful to instill in every member of the society. So we hope that this answered your question.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Garima,
Yes, Garima.
I have a question
Mm-hmm.
that can we eat food at restaurant which is vegetarian and it no one cooks onion and garlic and we offer to Prabhupada?
Not as a regular practice, beta. It is said that, one time Srila Prabhupada was going in his train. He was going to Kumbh Mela, and devotees had packed a lot of prasad. But somehow the other, Prabhupada, whatever they had packed, it all got over, and Srila Prabhupada got really hungry. So they came to one train station, and there they were frying, in those days, they were frying nice puris, and they were giving aloo sabji, potato sabji. So Prabhupada told one of the, actually told Jayapataka Maharaj that go and get some, puri sabji. And then Jayapataka Maharaj went and got some puri sabji. And Prabhupada said that when we take food which is cooked by non-devotees, when we eat at the restaurant, the only thing that comes, because you're paying for that food, so we don't get karma, but we get consciousness transfers, so because it is not offered, because it's not cooked in the right consciousness. So Prabhupada said that this is the only fear when we eat food that is cooked by non-devotees. But So in extreme circumstances, when we are traveling or when there is no other alternative, then it's okay. But on a regular basis, therefore, we must try to avoid as much as possible. But of course, sometimes once in a while, it's fine to go and to take prasad there. But then before you eat, like you said, you can offer it to Srila Prabhupada and to even to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You can say the Namo Mahavadanyaya prayer and say Prabhupada's prayer and Namo Mahavadanyaya. Offer the food to Mahaprabhu and Prabhupada, and you can take. Some devotees also say just 3 times. You can say Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, and you can take. So,
But we should be aware that the consciousness of the cook will transfer on us, and that does pose a challenge in our spiritual life. Some devotees, those who are only taking prasad for several years, only honoring prasadam, no other outside food, cooked by very nice devotees. As soon as they have any prasad which is not cooked by a devotee, they can immediately feel the change in their consciousness. So it affects our consciousness. We should know that. And in emergency, that's okay, but not as a regular daily practice, because it does affect devotees' consciousness. And
okay.
yeah, there is no karma, as Kalasuda said. And also something about fried, right? If it is.
Yeah, if it is fried, if it is sweet, then there is much lesser karma and much lesser transfer consciousness also. But if it is salty and if it is just other regular, then there's a lot of intricacies to that. But yeah. So thank you so much, Garima. Hope this answers your question.
Thank you, Mataji.
You're welcome, Bacha. All right. If there's any more questions, if not, we will end our session here today.
All right. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.